Please note, this episode of Campus Conversations contains discussions about gambling and addiction.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Bayside podcast, Campus Conversations. On today's episode we have a very special guest, Ian Ferretter from Gamblers Help West. So, today we also have some co-hosts, Amelia and Aidan.
Hello.
Hi.
And I'm Loki, and essentially, let's get into it. Ian, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Certainly. Ian Ferretter.
Yep.
I'm sure that one of the reasons that I was invited along today was because I was one of the teachers at this school. I started teaching here in 1983 and finished up in 1992 when Paisley had its last year of existence before it became part of the Bayside College.
Yeah. It's a pretty awesome, sort of coincidence, actually, that sort of you've come full circle and have come back here to, again, educate people about different things and especially gambling this time. So,
all I can say, it looks completely different. It looked nothing like this in 1989.
Yeah. I mean, I'd hope so anyway.
Would you say it looks nicer or the same?
It looks beautiful.
Yeah?
Yeah. Lots of greenery. It's open. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Big windows, high ceilings. Oh.
Thank you for the shout out.
It's almost nirvana here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, do you think the role of a teacher has changed, and what pressures do you remember in the role as a teacher?
There's certainly been an increase in pressure on teachers due to the expectation of parents and being in contact with parents far more often than when I was at the chalk face.
Yeah.
Our contact with parents was at report time, parent-teacher night.
Yep.
And the only other time you'd really be in contact with parents was one of two situations. One, the student had really mucked up and so they were going to be suspended or something. Yeah. Or they'd fallen over the yard, broken their arm and, and the parent was called in to go to the hospital with them. But really, otherwise, contact with parents was limited. But I certainly remember that the expectations of the community to deal with community issues was still very, very strong.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So I would draw the comparison between what happened with COVID and schools being one of the places that, had to very quickly inform their community about what was going on and how to deal with it.
Yeah, totally.
When I was teaching here at Paisley, AIDS was the big pandemic that we were dealing with. Mm. And I remember that the school was expected to inform the community about AIDS. And so I remember that we particularly put an evening on, an information evening about AIDS, how it was contracted, how you didn't get AIDS from shaking hands with people, which was a belief, how you didn't get AIDS by being near somebody.
Yeah.
It had to be an exchange of bodily fluids. So we explained that in very plain
everyday language
to people.
Yeah.
Because they were seeing ads on TV. The Grim Reaper ads were on TV.
Yeah, I've seen those actually.
And people were, freaking out
disinformation. Yeah.
About and misunderstanding it and not getting what the message was. And it was a very poor ad in terms of explaining to people how you contracted
totally
HIV.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's that critical role that schools still have nowadays to inform communities and, make sure everyone's safe, not just, students, but the general wider community.
Exactly.
Yeah, wow. Okay. I didn't actually realize how big a role that schools do have, but I'm glad that, we're all aware of this and are actually supporting that role for schools and within schools.
And so this project that you guys have put together came from the school understanding that gambling and gaming were important issues for the community and for young people.
Yeah.
And so the school embraced those concepts, worked with the students at the school and with the teachers, and through that, the messages spread through the wider community. Different way of communicating with people, a different way of working with young people around the issue, but still the same essential outcome, and that is informing the community and trying to help keep the community safe.
Yeah, we're doing our duty. We're doing our role. Yeah, we try our best. Thank you.
Nice. And as I said to you before, Loki, I think it's a credit to you guys that you not only did you participate in the Young Leaders of the West project and the podcast project, but you haven't just sat back and gone, oh, yeah, well, we've done that. No, you've gone, oh, we can take this further.
Yeah.
And doing it in your own time, and, it's a credit to you guys that you're doing it. And again, as I said to you, fabulous to have on your CVs about teamwork, committing yourself to your community, and to actually producing something. Not just saying, oh, yeah, here's my project, or here's an exam I passed. No, I've gone above and beyond.
Thank you. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we did
credit
have
to
some
you all,
setbacks.
and a credit to the school of embraced this as well.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And so for everyone at home that doesn't know, the reason we actually have this podcast equipment that we're using right now is because Bayside College won the Young Leaders of the West podcast challenge, and Ian was actually part of that as well. So you've come back again to do more podcasts with us. Thank you.
I just like the sound of my own voice.
Yeah.
Not that anybody else does. But
No, that's not true. We all love your voice, Ian. Thank you. All right.
Should we move on?
We'll get on to some more questions. Amelia, do you have any?
Are there any special or funny moments you remember from your years of teaching?
I only had 18 years. There were lots and lots. But I've got to say one of my favourites was in 1989. Have you heard of that?
1989. No, what's that? That's a big number.
When was that? 50
It's
years
more
ago?
than 2023 though.
So I was at Paisley and I was the Year 7 coordinator, and we were teaching in the humanities area, Year 7s, an introduction to geography in the world, and one of the things we did was countries, continents and capitals, and that was one of the sort of introductory things we did early on in the year. And to conclude that unit of work, we introduced this idea of, have you heard of Sale of the Century?
No, I haven't heard of that.
This was one of the biggest quiz games on the TV at the time.
Wow.
Okay.
And the contestants answered questions, and if they got the question right, they could have a pick of the board. And the board was photos of people who were famous at that time.
Yep.
You wouldn't know them now. So they were, and behind the board they'd win a prize.
Yep.
And the person with the most points won a big prize at the end.
Nice.
Yep.
So we decided to have a sale of the century for the Year 7s. So we got them all together in a room about half the size of the room we're in now.
Oh, no.
Okay.
And they were all sitting on the floor. And out the front we had the 4 students. There was Chris, 2, Aaron, Alison and Mai. That's 5 students. There were 5 students.
Okay.
And they had all won their Sale of the Century quiz in their class.
Okay.
So
yep.
7A had a champion,
Yes.
7B had a champion.
I see.
And we had the 5 champions out the front. The guy who starred in the show, who was the quiz master, was a guy named Tony Barber. So I played Tony Barber because I was the coordinator. I was running the show. I wanted to be the star.
Yep.
And
Nothing's changed.
I told you I liked the sound of my own voice. And Anne Malik was an English teacher here at the time.
Yep. Okay.
And she was playing Elise Platt, who was like the assistant who
Okay.
walked around. And
Yep.
now Anne liked to wear really nice clothes, so she thought she fitted, perfectly into
enough.
that style. So the kids all came along. The stars were photographs of staff,
Okay, yep.
and behind each staff member was a prize. We didn't have any money,
Okay, yep.
so my younger brother, worked at Melbourne Airport, and he worked in import-export.
Yep.
And he knew the guys at Singapore Airlines. So they were like the managers and stuff.
Yep.
And people who were flying at the time used to get these goodie bags, and they would have socks to put on. This was everyone on the plane. They get socks, they get eye patches, they
Wow,
get
okay.
ear warmers and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and it's a soap and
Okay, fair enough. Yep.
so
Gotta keep clean.
we had these as prizes.
Yep.
A bit of soap or
That's not bad.
eye patch.
Yeah. I'd be happy to receive all that.
No, you only got one.
Oh, okay, so
No, it's not the whole thing.
But the kids who won them used to go ballistic. Oh, I've got socks.
wait, they were happy. They were really happy.
Oh, they were really happy.
Oh, that's actually awesome.
Yeah.
So it was just such a small thing.
Yeah.
And the winner was from 7B. It was Tu Giang,
Okay.
who was a Vietnamese refugee.
Wow.
And second language was English.
Yeah.
Beat all these kids.
That's crazy. Yeah. How did that happen? Wow. The quality of education is much higher, I suppose.
Not back then.
Yeah, well, not bad, but-
It's just that newcomers to the country have much more emphasis on education than people who are already here.
Yep.
And parents really push their kids to, learn English, get a good education so you can get a good job.
Yeah, fair enough.
But that was great fun. We did that for about 5 years. It was just a great laugh.
Yeah, wow. Wow.
Maybe it's time to reintroduce it.
Yeah. Well, I could come back as Tony Barber, I'm sure.
Oh, you could.
Just open up a prize and it's a pair of socks.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I reckon that'd be a hit. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
The daggier the presents were, the more they liked them. It was just berserk.
That's awesome, though, because teachers like to be proud of what you have and to, accept whatever comes your way, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Works out.
It really is the little things.
Yeah, I agree. Does anyone have any other questions? So, Amelia, any questions?
Are there any staff members and teachers that you still remember and keep contact with?
We used to have individual staff rooms. I don't know if they still work that way.
Yeah, we still have those.
So-
Well, I think they're department-based.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But we were more based on that sort of thing as well. But as well, there were people who worked in the same block.
Okay,
So
yep.
the school had 4 or 5 different blocks.
Yep.
G block was one that was sort of out the front. And I was in that room with Anne Mallock, who I mentioned before, and a guy named Colin Warner. So Colin and I were good mates. I ended up being his best man at his wedding, and we keep in contact. We see each other maybe once every 2 years or something. It was a long time ago when he went off to Glen Waverley. He ended up being a deputy principal, I think, out at Glen Waverley College.
Yep.
I think it was Glen Waverley. He lives over the other side of town. I live this side of town at Moonee Pond, so we're a long way away. But, we call each other occasionally, and especially when Richmond and Melbourne play.
Yep.
If Melbourne happen to beat Richmond, I'm always happy to give them a call.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Nice.
No, that's good. That's nice.
All right. So moving on, can you tell us about your career before Gamblers Help and what eventually led you to working there?
Certainly. Well, as you know, I was a high school teacher. I worked at Bendigo High my first year out. Then I moved to Point Gellibrand, which was the girls' school in Williamstown, which is the site of the senior campus of Williamstown High now.
Okay, wow.
And I was there 7 years. Then I moved to Paisley, and I was here for 10. So I did a number of roles at Paisley and at Point Gellibrand, things like district sports coordinator. I was a year level coordinator from 7 to 10.
Okay.
I was a subject coordinator. I was a student welfare coordinator.
Lots of different roles.
Yeah, I made a personal and professional decision to try and do something different each year. So,
Okay, I see.
I didn't have myself in a rut of saying, "Oh, well, I'm doing the same thing."
I
all
respect
the time.
that. Yeah.
But I did the student welfare role. Was really enjoying that, and then in 1991, the government decided to get rid of student welfare coordinators.
Yep.
So at the end of 92, so I decided that I would look for another career
Yeah.
because I really did want to follow the student welfare path. So I moved on from teaching and went and worked at Quit Victoria, the tobacco control organisation,
Yep.
which is a part of the Cancer Council Victoria.
Okay. Yeah.
So I moved there and started working in the prevention area. So the whole idea was to prevent young people from taking up smoking.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
When I started there, smoking rates amongst secondary school students was about 33%.
Okay.
And when I left there 20 years later, smoking rates amongst high school students was about 13%.
Wow. Wow.
I'd like to claim it was all down.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah.
But it wasn't.
Team effort.
And this will also come up later on after you showed me some of the questions we want to talk about with gambling. But one of the main reasons that smoking rates dropped so enormously amongst young people was because smoking rates amongst adults dropped so enormously as well.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And that was due mainly to two things. First was the increase in prices,
Yep.
which is the absolute biggest tool in the kit for tobacco control. Because when prices go up, consumption means the number of cigarettes smoked and the number of people smoking dropped as well.
Okay. Yep.
And when adolescents,
Yeah.
I'm just going off topic a little bit here, but to explain how this works. Adolescence is moving from childhood to adulthood.
Yep.
And when you're adolescent, people like yourselves, you are looking all the time at what adults do.
Yes. Yep.
Now, how old are you guys? 16, 17?
Yeah, 17,
15.
18?
Oh.
15.
15? All right.
Yeah.
I'm 17.
Yeah. You don't want to be 17. You don't want to be 15.
Yeah, I mean, we all look forward to being an adult. And then,
Yeah.
when we see adults doing what we consider to be adult things like smoking, doing drugs, gambling, all this stuff.
Driving.
Yeah.
Driving, yes, true. We want to do that, right?
Yeah.
Whatever we see adults doing, we want to do.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think there was such a large decrease given that adults stopped smoking.
Exactly. Adults stopped smoking, and so young people saw that adults were giving up smoking or weren't smoking, so it wasn't something on the radar for me to do when I become adult.
Yep. No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
But mobile phones were just coming in around that time too.
Okay, well, maybe people swapped their addictions around. Well, no, because back then mobile phones wouldn't have been that
But
addictive.
adults were using them.
Yeah,
And
totally.
so what did young people want? Well, they want a mobile phone because
That's suddenly more desirable.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, wow, okay. That's really interesting, actually.
How would you relate smoking to now the vaping epidemic that's been going on with the youth?
Yeah.
I'd say that
It's a bit of a...
this is a personal opinion.
Yep.
Maybe quit. Maybe government certainly taking their eye off the ball there. Let it get out of hand before they started really having a good look at it.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Because they have made it illegal now, vaping. but I'm pretty sure you can find it anywhere and everywhere.
I think in most states.
Only for adults.
Ah.
Smoking was always illegal. It wasn't illegal to smoke. And that was a deliberate ploy because not only are adolescents looking to move from childhood to adulthood, they also like to rebel.
Yep.
I mean, look at you. Wearing your sparkly eyeshadows.
Very rebellious.
I was looking at Amelia there, for those of you who were wondering.
He was looking at me, guys.
Oh, you wish.
Adolescents are also rebellious by nature.
Yes.
I mean, you're encouraged to take risks,
Yeah.
Yep.
to learn, to grow, and to find out who you are. That's all fine. But the last thing we wanted to do as tobacco control advocates was to have smoking as a, rebellious thing to do.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm breaking the law, or,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's reverse psychology.
Yeah.
What we wanted was it to be illegal for people to supply the tobacco to young people. And so to make access more difficult.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the tools that we used to have that disappeared was the registration of tobacco retailers.
Okay.
So you had to have a license to be able to sell tobacco. And if you sold tobacco to young people, you were caught doing that, you could lose your license. And tobacco at that time, remember, 33% of the population was smoking, so a lot of people were smoking.
Yeah.
A lot of the income came from selling tobacco. And so if you lost the ability to sell tobacco, you lost a huge part of your income.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's one of the reasons why it encouraged people not to sell to young people.
Yeah.
Now, the issue now is there's an abundance of supply. It's everywhere. And there's no way of controlling who's selling what.
Yeah.
And like you said, people can get it anywhere.
Yeah.
And nobody asks you if you're 18 when you...
No, well, they want money, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on from smoking, can you provide any insights into the regulatory framework of gambling in Australia and how it's evolved over time?
Sort of related questions, this, yeah.
Yeah.
Because governments have a huge role to play in regulating behaviours and products that are damaging to people's health. The whole role of government is to protect society.
Protect the people, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when there is an issue, for example, car seat belts,
Yeah.
all right?
Yeah.
When car seat belts were introduced, some people going, oh, they're fascists making me put a seatbelt on.
Really?
No. Yeah, well, that was an actual argument. Yeah, that was real.
What?
It's still nowadays, people say that. They're like,
That's
they can't
crazy.
control me.
Yeah, you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
It was similar when motorcyclists had to wear helmets.
Oh, wow.
And what happened to the number of deaths from motor vehicle accidents? Plummeted.
Yeah, absolutely.
What happened to serious injuries in car accidents? Plummeted.
Yeah.
We're talking now about there's been 250 deaths on the road this year, somewhere around that. I'm going back in the day again, but in the late 70s, it was 1,028
Wow.
In Australia alone?
in Victoria.
What? Whoa. That's crazy. That is crazy.
No seatbelts, no helmets on motorcyclists.
Yeah, wow.
People could drink and drive.
Yeah.
There were no speed cameras. The roads were worse,
Yeah.
if you can believe it.
Yeah.
They were.
Yeah.
Like the Hume Highway to Sydney was 2 lanes, 1 lane each way.
Wow.
Completely different now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's been a whole heap of things. There isn't one answer to a societal problem.
Yeah.
There's a range of things that need to be done. So dragging that back to gambling, at the moment, organisations that provide gambling, apart from pokies venues, can advertise almost any time that they want to.
Anytime.
Almost any time.
Yeah, actually, that's a big thing. Yeah.
They've slightly changed the times that they can show ads around football matches. You know, I think it's 10 minutes before a game starts or 5 minutes before a game starts now.
Yeah.
But even that's pathetic. They used to allow smoking ads on television.
Yeah.
When, you know, there was no streaming, there was no internet.
Yeah.
You know, like you had three sources of entertainment. You could watch TV, listen to the radio, or put your record player on and play vinyl, which would be really cool now. But I still haven't been able to throw my vinyl out. I've got.
No, I keep hold of it. Yeah,
You can sell it for big bucks.
God, no.
I'd sadly gonna keep it. You gotta reminisce.
Yeah,
you gotta.
My bad.
It'd be like thrown out. It would be like getting your phone and deleting all your photos.
Oh no, I couldn't do that.
Exactly, Aidan.
That's what our record collection's like.
Yeah.
No,
So
fair enough.
the having advertising is something that encourages people to gamble,
Yeah.
and young people are the target.
Yeah, and if the times that they can show the ads aren't restricted, then kids could be seeing those ads.
Here's another story. I told you I like not sounding my own voice. I bought a big issue,
Okay.
and not because this story was in there, but the story I read was about this guy, a father. He and his son were cleaning out one of the cupboards in the house.
Okay.
And they clean out all this stuff, and they come across this football game that the father had as a young kid himself, and it was called the Hutton's Footy Franks footy game. So footy franks are, you know, hot dogs.
Okay.
And this is back in the days of the VFL before the AFL came along. And they got the board out and they started playing this game. And then they packed up the board and put it away and continued cleaning out this cupboard. Anyway, a couple of days later, the little boy who was 6 or 7 said, "Dad, can we play the Hutton's Footy Franks game again?" He goes, "Yeah, sure." So they get it out, they open up the board, and the young lad had drawn a square in the middle of the board because there was no square in the VFL. There was no centre square. They just used to have 3 circles across. The middle one was where they usually bounce the ball, but because they were usually in the middle of cricket pitches, in winter they got so muddy they couldn't bounce the ball, so they used to have a circle on each wing.
Okay.
So the kid had got some green and painted over the 2 wing circles.
Okay, yeah.
And then he'd painted or drawn in 2 50-metre arcs as well.
So he just invented, like, modern football.
Yeah, he put, you know, what he saw at the football onto the ground.
Wow.
The scary thing, though, was that all around the boundary, he'd written sports bet, sports bet, sports bet.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
He thought that was part of the game. No, that's terrible. That is actually terrible.
It's a horrible story.
That's a horror story.
But that's what advertising does.
Yeah.
No.
So young people, from what they tell us, when they're doing their footy tipping, they don't look at who's been selected or who's been dropped. They look at what the odds are and do their footy tipping on what the odds are.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not even about the game. It's about the numbers.
Yeah. And so what's happening is that gambling is infiltrating our culture to such an extent that it becomes part of the culture.
And that's when it's hardest to stop it.
Exactly.
Or reduce it. Wow. Yeah.
So then, what unique characteristics define the gambling landscape in Australia, and how does it differ from like other regions?
Well, we just sort of talked about this, didn't we?
Yeah, but one of the things is that there's very little regulation in Australia compared to other countries.
Isn't Australia the
Number one.
largest or the worst gambling country?
Yes. Per head of the population, we lose more money per head than any other country in the world.
Wow.
And our trajectory is upwards.
It's going higher.
It's going higher.
Oh, no.
And in Singapore, which was second, they are about half the amount of, we're losing about 12.27 per head. They were losing about 6.60, but their trajectory is downwards.
And ours is up. Wow,
And
that's
ours is
terrible.
upwards.
So what are they doing different?
They have more regulations, more laws.
Is it because...
So things like in Singapore, locals, Singaporeans can't go to the casino. Only overseas visitors can.
Wow. Okay. That's really interesting. So it's like they're still supporting their economy, but not at the detriment of their people, at the detriment of other people. Wow, okay. That's interesting. Because is that one of the huge, the large factors on why we don't regulate it as much, because it stimulates the economy that much?
Yes, but stimulating the economy by taking money from people gambling causes a whole heap of
Other problems.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And it costs about $7 billion a year to address those problems.
Yeah.
But the income's probably much higher. I'd estimate.
About a third of the last figure I heard was about a third of the state government's budget comes from income from poker machines. Just poker machines.
Just the pokies. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
That is intense.
Yeah.
Wow.
There aren't any poker machines in tents. They're all in pubs and clubs.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Sorry for the dad joke.
That's all right. That's what we look
That's
for.
funny.
Wow. That's actually terrible, though. Yeah, okay. This is a very, very deep-rooted problem with so many tendrils that just reach out into the depths of our society, but also stimulate the one thing that holds our society together. That's kind of bad.
You would think that Australia would be sort of lower, since America, I think they have Las Vegas and LA and all that. They have a whole bunch of casinos that's advertised and really glorified, I guess, in the video.
They do. But we have got more poker machines in Victoria than they've got in Nevada.
What?
Jeez.
So then comparing the whole of Australia. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Wow, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, I'd also estimate then that the popularity of sports betting has grown. Sports betting as opposed to the pokies, right?
Certainly. Before the lockdown, pokies were the biggest loss. During lockdown, it went to zero because nobody could go to pubs or clubs to gamble.
Yeah.
So people who were at home started gambling online.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when pokies came back, income from poker machines went back to pre-COVID levels plus 13%.
Wow.
But gambling on online, on sports betting, was climbing at a huge rate and was getting close to pokey losses.
Yeah, wow.
So it's just another source of loss of income.
Yeah, yeah.
And most of the online gambling businesses are overseas owned. So
Yeah, that's money out of our economy then. It's not even stimulating the economy. Wow. That's terrible. There needs to be more regulation. Why are we so slow all the time? This is getting too political, but
Let's not go into that.
So yeah, with sports betting, that's often maybe not targeted, but engaged with by adolescents. Would I be correct in saying that?
it targets adolescents because their advertising targets males 18 to 34.
Okay, yeah, yep.
And so, as we were talking before, adolescents don't want to be the age they are. They want to be older.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they want all the benefits of being older. 15-year-olds want to be 16 or 17.
Yep, yep.
17-year-old.
I'm really just shaking head like, no.
No. You want to go back to 14?
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to grow older, don't we? We want to just grow
not
up.
Me.
Oh, well, okay, fair enough.
I do want to grow older. I don't want to stop now. But
No, amen. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So, like, with the whole culture of, well, not culture, but the whole idea of wanting to grow older and stuff, how does sports betting affect adolescents, and how does sort of gambling and addiction affect adolescents in particular?
Yep. So, adolescence, an important feature of adolescent life is friendship groups.
Yep.
So, your mates are more important than anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
we
true.
all know your family are important to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But your mates, if you had a choice between going to a family function and going out with your mates, you would choose going out with your mates.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so.
Yeah.
I think 99.9%
Yeah.
people are going to say that. So they know that.
Yep.
So they've introduced this bet with mates concept.
Yep.
So what does that do? You are 17. You want to be 18. They show a group of mates
All having
betting
fun.
in what looks like a pub,
Yep.
which it can't be a pub because you can't show gambling
No
and
way.
drinking.
So they just make it look like it.
They just make it
That's
look like it.
crazy.
If you look at those ads really carefully, the glasses on the table are clear.
Yeah.
The fluid in them is actually water, and one of the glasses has a little bit of lemon in it.
Oh.
So they try and make it look like they're in a
Cheeky.
pub having a great time.
Yep.
And so where do young people go to have a great time with their friends? They do go to the pub, the actual pub.
The actual one, not the fake pub.
And what happens if you start gambling and you're drinking at the same time? Well, you start losing.
Bad decisions.
Yeah, you start making poor decisions. I'd rather say unhealthy decisions rather than bad ones.
Yes.
You're not bad because you gamble.
No.
But making poor decisions, putting yourself in dangerous situations, you need to be aware that it can, like with poker machines are designed by addiction experts, people who know about addiction and how to get people addicted.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
So the lights, the music, they're all very carefully selected.
Design
Music,
elements.
yeah. Plus, the amount of money that you keep getting back is
Enough.
carefully orchestrated to keep you. When you're enjoying something, you get rushes of dopamine to your brain.
Yep. Yep.
So when people get a little spit from the machine, 80 cents or something, they get almost the same amount of dopamine as if they won a big prize.
Wow.
So I know that we're going to get on to addiction. Maybe if we talk about addiction now, if young people are playing these games, either, sports betting or on poker machines, even though you're 18 or 19 or 20, your brains are still developing. They're still developing their pathways.
Yeah.
We don't want to screw up those dopamine receptors.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
If you start overloading them, you get addicted.
No. This is terrible.
And then that's not the only part to addiction.
Right.
There is a physical addiction, yes. With cigarettes, it's nicotine, and with the pokies, you're addicted to the dopamine. But there's also the habit.
Yep.
So with smoking, you have a cigarette with your coffee or after breakfast or after a meal. They're typical sort of habits where they go together. With gambling, it's the same. I finish dinner, I go to the pokies. Saturday afternoon, I go to the pub.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
At the pub, I gamble and drink.
Right.
Yep.
So that becomes a habit.
Yep.
And then it also goes, so that's the second element. The third element is the emotional attachment to it. So people smoke when they're bored. They smoke when they're feeling down. People gamble when they're feeling down, when they're feeling bored. I've got nothing to do. Oh, I'll pick up my phone and
Yep. Yep.
put $50 on this horse I've never heard of.
Yeah.
It's got good numbers though.
Oh,
Yeah.
and a lovely coloured hat.
Oh no. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it's about sort of habits as well as pure addiction.
Yes, and emotion. And unless a person understands that they're dealing with those three elements of that behaviour,
Yep.
addressing one won't solve it.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
So if someone thinks, oh, I've just got to stop going to the pokies, every time they finish a meal, they'll really want to go. There'll be this trigger
It's like
to
a
go.
cue. Yeah. Exactly.
Every time they're feeling a bit bored, they've got to resist going to the pokies.
Easier said than done.
So they've got, exactly. So you've got to be able to address all three of those elements of the addiction.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So what do you think then the absolute worst thing to do is when you feel you are developing an addiction or a habit, or you start to feel the grasp of gambling or an addiction in general?
Ignore it.
Ignore it. Just is there anything
It's
apart
the worst
from that?
thing you can do. Ignore it
Okay. Yep.
because it'll just get worse.
So you need to just address it head on. Go get help.
As soon as you think that, hang on, I think I've got an issue here, get some help.
Right.
Okay. Yep.
Get some help. And that brings me to how the counsellors work with people who are trying to overcome addiction.
Yes, please delve into that. Go straight in.
So there's a model that's called the behavioural change model,
Okay.
and it goes like this. Person starts off with their behaviour, whatever it is. It can be eating too much, it can be not brushing their teeth, it can be anything. And they're perfectly happy doing that.
Yep.
But then something happens that says to them, I'm really not happy about this. Now, it might be if you're not brushing your teeth and then you find someone that you'd like to invite out to dinner and they say, I wouldn't go out with you because you've got green teeth.
Oh, no.
That might be a catalyst for saying, oh, maybe I need to brush my teeth.
Maybe it's time to brush my teeth.
But that can be about any behaviour at all.
Right.
Yep.
So they were happy doing what they were doing. Now they're not quite happy about what they're doing.
Yep.
So they start making plans about how they are going to change this.
Yep.
Once they've made that plan, they put the plan into action.
Right.
Yeah.
The plan will work for some time.
But it'll stop.
It might work for 2 weeks, 2 days, 2 hours, 2 minutes. But it works for a short while. Then they tend to relapse. So they go back to doing what they were doing in the first place. But the difference now is that when they were happy doing what they were doing, they can never go back to that completely happy. There's like a one-way valve that once you go from being perfectly happy, which we call pre-contemplation, and you move to contemplation, which is contemplating making a change, you can never go back. You're never completely happy about what you're doing anymore.
Wow. Okay.
And so you've always got this unease every time you do whatever it is. Not brushing your teeth. Oh, that's what it really means brushing your teeth.
Wow.
And
Okay.
you go around that planning, putting it into action, keeping it in place for a while, going back to what you normally do,
Yep.
relapsing.
Yep.
And you might go around that circle 3, 4, 5 times. And if you get help, people help you understand what's happening to you. And it's not happening to you. You are doing it yourself. And so you've got control about doing something about it at each of those stages. Right. At the planning stage, you can go, well, I know that I want to go to the pokies after I've had a few drinks, so I won't drink. Or if I do drink, I'll drink low alcohol beer, or I'll only have one drink, something like that.
Right.
Yep.
So you have a number of strategies. The strategies that work, you keep in place. The bits that don't work, throw them away, work on those bits.
Yep.
But you've got to remember there are 3 elements to your addiction: the actual addiction, the physical addiction, the emotional, and the habitual. You've got to address them all.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Yep. That was very insightful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't spend 20 years at Quit for nothing.
No, definitely not. Okay, so sort of one last question, but let's cut to some other questions. Amelia, do you have anything?
Yeah, you've been like quiet for a long time.
Yeah.
She hasn't spoken to me since I made that crack about her sparkly eyelashes.
Maybe we know the cause.
Are we seeing any improvements in attitudes to gambling addiction?
I think we are, because there's been just so much in the newspapers, on the TV, and on the radio, talkback radio, about advertising on gambling advertising. People are sick of it and they want something done about it.
Right.
And that has been going on the paper for about the last 6 months at least, where there's been really lots of stuff going on. So there are changes afoot.
Right.
Things are moving, but they move slowly.
Right. That is true.
And like I was talking to you about, what happened with tobacco, it took 20 years for smoking rates to fall, 20%. So it's not going to happen next year.
Yeah.
And if anybody's interested in working in reducing gambling harm, I can assure you, you'll have a job for at least 20 years
Yep.
because it's a job for the long haul.
Yeah.
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 I won't be around to see it solved.
Well, let's hope.
Let's hope we will.
Let's hope you are. Yes.
Yeah. And actually, that leads me to my question before. So this year they unveiled a new framework for a new part of the National Consumer Protection Framework, where new mandatory taglines are now included in all gambling ads.
Yes.
How do you think these ads sort of were constructed? Because we've got what would you rather be buying? Or are there a few? I can't remember exactly what they are. We've got actually, chances are you're about to lose. Imagine what you could be buying instead.
Yes.
How do you think these have been constructed, and why do you think they're effective?
You didn't give me the option of, do I think they're effective?
Do you think they're effective?
I haven't seen, I'm sure they're doing research on it, and I haven't seen the outcome of that research. My experience at Quit would tell me that would do very, very little.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
And that's because saying those things at the end of the advertisement,
Yep.
you are not tapping into what the consumer is thinking about at the time.
Okay. Yep.
They're thinking about what has just gone before, and that is, look at all the fun I can have gambling. Look at all these multi-bets I can put on with my mates at the pub. One of the most effective tobacco control ads was a series of advertisements called Every Cigarette is Doing You Damage.
Are those the ones with black background? You see lungs, you see hearts.
Yep.
Right.
You see
Okay, yeah.
an aorta squeezed out
Yep. Oh, okay. Yep.
yeah.
With all the tar inside. Yep.
with the fat in the
Yep.
Yep.
Yes. So that group of advertisements did this. They put the smoker into what they called a smoker's moment, so that you see the guy trying to light his cigarette from the gas stove. You see a guy or a woman outside of an office building, a guy at the bus stop, all right?
Yeah.
So all smokers recognise those moments. So they know immediately you're talking to them. And the advertisements we're talking about, the gamblers have been spoken to by the gambling company, and they're the ones in the gambling moment. Oh, yeah, here I am on my phone winning with my mates down the pub.
Having a good time. Yeah,
So
exactly.
you're not, the tagline at the end does not speak to the person that you're trying to reach.
Yeah, because the whole thing is still essentially controlled by whatever the gambling company is, not
Correct.
the anti-gambling
And then
campaign.
they say something, all right, chances are you're about to lose. If you've got an issue with gambling, contact the website or ring the number on the... They don't even read out the phone number, and they don't read out the website. And what that means is people cannot remember. How do most people remember what it is they want to remember nowadays?
1-300 double I don't know what that song is. A song or something.
That's not what I was thinking about. Most people take a photo.
Yeah, actually, that's true.
Yeah.
And it stays on the screen for 1 second.
If
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
And how many people sit there with, hang on, I'll get the phone out, and it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, wow.
So
Not
they're the
effective.
reasons I think they're not going to be effective.
Wow. Okay. Okay. That's fair enough. That is fair.
Yeah.
I'll probably get advertising executive job offers now.
They're gonna listen to this.
Fair.
Right.
Yeah. Aidan, do you have any questions?
So, new TV gambling adverts now have refreshed disclaimers at the end. It has changed from gambling responsibly to new ones like chances are you're about to lose and imagine what you could
So the
be
chance-
buying
so-
instead.
Essentially, the change isn't
Yeah.
even effective, right? So
No,
what?
I don't think they're going to be effective.
Right.
This is just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I don't have research to back up what I believe.
Yep.
But as I said, my experience at Quit tells me that unless you are able to reach the person whose attitude you're trying to change,
Right.
Yeah.
forget it.
And so, with changing the framework and with the new adverts, do you think those should be included in games? Because with gaming nowadays, loot boxes and gambling-like activities, how do you think we should address that? Should we address it?
Of course.
Of course. Okay, yeah.
Of course. They're dangerous activities for young people. It's normalising gambling as a way of getting through life. In all the games, the whole idea of getting a loot box is to advance in the game. And then sometimes you can't even advance in the game unless you buy something, unless you buy a new weapon or a new piece of armour or a new super duper rocket or, you know,
Right.
Yep.
a nuclear powered skateboard or something.
Whatever you need.
Exactly. Yeah, they are ways of making money from young people.
Right.
And
Yes.
a lot of kids just don't realise how much they're spending. A lot of parents don't realise how much they're spending.
Right.
And the problem for parents is they don't understand games and gaming. And the best thing that a parent can do, one of the best things they can do is go along to their kid and say, so what's this game you're playing? Show me how you do it. Can I play? They'll be rubbish. That doesn't matter.
Let me scope this out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because despite everything, adolescents still want the approval of their parents.
True.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It doesn't matter what they say.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter
They
what comes
say
out
the
of
opposite.
them.
They say the opposite.
Exactly. But what's inside, in their heart and in their mind, completely different.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be adolescent brash and I don't care, you know. Yeah, they do care.
Deep down inside, they care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so taking an interest in their interest is one of the best times I had was when my father used to come and watch me play soccer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I loved it. He came about half a dozen times and all the times I played, but every time he came, I enjoyed those games more than any other.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I respect that. Yeah.
So being a part of your child's life is an important part of being a parent.
Right.
Yeah. It's for the connection as
Yeah.
well as the protection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't have to take over and,
No, of
go
course
every week and watch every game and play every game that they play.
Yeah.
But take an interest in what it is that they're interested in, what they enjoy about it. And when they do something really, really good on screen, tell them how amazing that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen up, parents. That was epic. Thank you. Thank you. That was very good.
Yeah.
I've only got 3 children of my own, but
Yeah.
Moving on, what resources are available for students and families to seek help from these issues?
well, the best place is the Gamblers Help website.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
There's plenty of information there for parents. There's plenty of information there for young people. There is a youth telephone and counselling service if a young person feels that, gaming has got a hold of them. If adults are gambling and children are concerned about their adults, they can talk to somebody entirely confidentially.
Right.
Do not have to give your real name. Don't have to say where you really live. Nothing like that.
Yep.
But you can get some support and some ideas about how you might go about making things a bit better. And if you are an adult who has an issue with gambling, then again, face up to your demon and get some help from Gamblers Help. All of our services are free. They're confidential. Doesn't matter if you've got a visa or not.
Yeah.
We even take MasterCard. No,
Okay.
there's absolutely no charge.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
It's face-to-face. It can be online. It can be on the telephone. It's just an amazing service, and wait times are really short compared to other services.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Amazing. Thank you for telling us all that.
Yeah. We might put that in the description. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we'll add all these to the show post
Yeah.
in the post. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that essentially wraps up the show. Thank
Already.
you so much, Ian.
Oh, I've had the best time.
We have too. We have
Yeah.
had an amazing time, and thank you for all the insight. And I can definitely tell that you're a parent.
Can you tell I'm a grandparent too?
It's because of how caring you are, Ian.
Yeah.
That's what we have come out knowing about you. Thank you
Right.
for everything.
Oh, that is very kind of you, Loki. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you so much.
And again, can I not only thank you for the invitation to come along and visit the school I spent 10 years of my life in, but also, again, I'd just reaffirm what I said at the start of the show, how wonderful it is what you guys are doing. And you're not only doing something for yourselves, but you're doing something for your community. And that is something to be really proud of. So congratulations to you all.
Thank you so much.
you, yeah.
Thank you so much for the praise. That means a lot.
Yes.
Coming from you especially. Thank you.
Hopefully we can have you again.
Oh, anytime.
Same time next week.
Awesome. We'll create a booking for you. Okay, guys. Thank you so much, and thank you to Amelia and Aidan, the co-hosts.
No worries.
I'm Loki Akirito, and that was the show. Thank you, everyone, and have an amazing day. Goodbye.
I love how you saluted.
Yeah, I did
Just in real
salute.